Money.
Clearly I've touched and the insult to intelligence of the American people and lived experience.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We're talking about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's tuning back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below, or most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video drop. You guys have helped growing out the secrets. I appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Stay with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Disneyland doesn't want you to know. A few years ago in Disney World, Florida, a little boy was snatched by a crocodile, and his remains were found a few hours later in a lake next to the park. Apparently the kid was just next to the water when the crocodile ate him up. Next, did you know that Disneyland has only closed 3 times throughout history? They were when JFK was shot, after a massive earthquake in 1994, and on September 11th, 2001. So let's just say they count on keeping their parks open for as long as possible. And finally, some rumors say that the skulls on the Pirate of the Caribbean ride are actually real human skulls. And if that's real, that is pretty messed up.
In Brazil, there are more snakes on this island than anywhere in the world. And this is where the Bothrops snakes live. They're the world's deadliest snakes. The poison is so strong that if it bites you, you'll be gone in 1 hour. On the island, there's probably 1 deadly snake per square foot. But there are people who love nature so much that they take the risk and explore the island anyway. But before I tell you how the snakes got there, I just found a way to make a bunch of new friends by live streaming, and the best part is there's 0 requirements. And if you want to try live streaming, just press right here. The story goes that a pirate once left buried treasure there and put snakes all over the island to protect it.
Trying to protect his money.
Clearly I've touched and the insult to the intelligence of the American people and lived experience.
That 26-year-old has finally been charged with the murder of Brian Thompson, the CEO of one of the largest health insurance companies in the U.S. In the early morning of December 4th, Luigi Mangione took a taxi to the Hilton Hotel and shot Brian Thompson in the back multiple times as Brian was walking into the hotel. Something I'm very curious to know is how exactly did Luigi know where and when to find Brian on that morning? The CEO's wife told investigators that Brian had been threatened multiple times leading up to his murder, which is why he usually had security with him, but on this morning specifically, he did not. When the shell casings were retrieved, there was writing on them that said deny, delay, and depose, which are said to be tactics insurance companies are accused of using to avoid paying claims. What's shocking to a lot of people is that this 26-year-old is not your typical suspect. He had a clean record, he was valedictorian, he went to a private school, and he was an Ivy League graduate. Now, after days of searching for him, a McDonald's employee in Pennsylvania spotted him and thought that he matched the description of the killer. When police searched his bag, they found a 3-page manifesto, which I'm going to read a little bit of what he wrote. He said that the U.S. has the most expensive healthcare system in the world, and that profits of major corporations continue to rise while our life expectancy does not. They also found a ghost gun, which they believe may have been made using a 3D printer, and it is consistent with the weapon used in the murder, as well as multiple fake IDs, which he used to check into the hostel in Manhattan before the murder.
This is by far...
Man, that Luigi case had a whole bunch of twists and turns, man. I mean, you guys thoughts down below on that one. That's probably about to be like case of the year. Besides the Diddy one.
Murders in American history. This is the Watts family, and in the early hours of August 13th, 2018, Christopher Lee Watts murdered his pregnant wife Shannon by strangulation, and right after this, he murdered his 2 young daughters, who are 4 and 3, by smothering them with a pillow, all while they begged their dad not to kill them. He then buried Shannon in a shallow grave near an oil storage facility, and he then dumped his 2 children's dead bodies into an oil tank. Christopher Watts initially maintained his innocence in his family's disappearance, but was arrested on August 15th after confessing in an interview with detectives to murdering Shannon, and he then later admitted to murdering his children. He did this because he wanted to run away and start a new life with the girl he was cheating on his wife with. And he thought the solution to this was to kill his entire family. There's also this clip of him being interviewed by some news outlet, and in the video he's begging for his wife and children to come back. Now at this point, nobody has any clue that he killed them, but he does. He remembers exactly what happened, he knows that they're dead, he knows how he killed them, and he's still on live TV begging them to come home, saying he can't live without them. Just watch this clip. It's absolutely sickening.
Let's check it out.
My last question, if you have any of them, feel free to send it. My last question is, if your wife can see this, if she can watch these recordings, what would you like to tell your wife and kids?
Shannon, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. Like, if somebody has her, just please bring her back. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here. Please bring her back.
That's it. I can take that mic off.
You could see it in his eyes, man. No remorse. One of the most dangerous people in the world. Do something like that and go on TV and just lie and cap about it. This world, man.
This boy's parents heard him talking to something they couldn't see every night, and when they found out what it was, they immediately moved out. Part 2. On camera, they saw William talking to himself late at night before getting up and heading straight to the living room. And that's when he grabbed his mom's glasses from the living room, cracked open the front door, and placed them outside. It turns out the Superman figurine that his neighbors gave him for his birthday had a speaker and a listening device inside. And what happens next is so shocking you won't believe it. But first, you can prank your friends by changing their text messages without them knowing. Try it out by pressing this button on my profile. The neighbor would talk to William through the figurine at night and convince him that it was alive. From there, Superman would tell William to take things from his house and put them outside. Then, early in the morning, the stealing neighbor would come and take it without anyone noticing.
Man, you gotta watch the kids' toys nowadays, bro.
Things humans were never meant to see. This looks like an alien, but this is actually how an octopus moves on land, and honestly, it's pretty terrifying. Okay, this place shouldn't exist. This is a river, but the water flows upwards into the sky. This is where the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean meet, but never mix. Engineers just created a humanoid robot that can wake up. This is terrifying. And this person found the edge of rain. Is this a glitch in the Matrix or just a 1 in a million coincidence?
Oh, that's a glitch in the Matrix.
Creepy facts about our world. At almost 36,000 feet, no human...
Shocking facts you don't know about.
In 2014, author Richard Britton traveled 500 miles to find a teenage girl, who left him a bad review on his recent book. He then smashed a wine bottle over her head, sending her to the hospital, where she nearly died. Richard was jailed for 30 months following the vicious attack. In 1971, 46-year-old New Jersey accountant John List lost his job at a bank and couldn't stand to tell his family. After a failed job search List worried that his family would turn away from God due to a lack of stability and therefore miss out on heaven. So he felt he was left with no choice but to murder his entire family and disappear forever. He killed his wife, mother, and 3 children by gunshot before vanishing for the next 18 years. List had planned out the murder so meticulously that nearly a month had passed before anyone suspected that something was wrong. He assumed a new identity in Denver, remarried, innovated, captured for nearly 2 decades, until a neighbor finally recognized him after seeing him on America's Most Wanted.
Oh, that's how he got caught. I wonder if there's America's Most Wanted. Does that show even still run anymore? I wonder how many criminals they got caught off of that just by watching that show and people recognizing them.
Crazy facts about student life you won't believe. South Korea gets the most homework worldwide out of any country, up to 16 hours per week. 1 out of 3 students put an all-nighter every semester to cope with deadlines. Finland has the shortest school days in the world, around 4 to 5 hours per day. Whereas Japan has the highest with up to 7 hours per day at school. On average, it takes 4 to 6 hours just to write a standard essay. But here's the game changer. Oriate AI can write a full essay in minutes. With Oriate AI, you can generate a full essay in just one click. It's plagiarism proof, like almost 100% undetectable and plagiarism free. It formats automatically and offers full rewrites. It's specifically designed for academic writing and it outperforms ChatGPT. And it comes with an all-in-one powerful editor for your essays that's integrated into the platform. So say goodbye to the essay stress with Oriate AI and score better grades by going to the link in my bio.
Proof we aren't alone. So we've all seen the movie Llorona, right? And we all know this famous clip. Looks like a pretty normal movie clip, right? But when you put it side by side with a picture of a mountain found on Earth, you start to question whether or not giants did actually used to exist. But my question to you guys is this just some weird way they wanted to tell us that giants existed? Or am I just crazy? Don't forget to like and follow for more videos.
Could be true, they put messages in
Power
movies.
of time. This is the life cycle of a penny over 100 years, wow. For over 20 years, this monk has prayed in his temple in the exact same spot every day. And from this, his footprints were actually engraved into the wood. This is insane. These are the worn marble steps that lead to the top of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. This is crazy. This shows the thousands of layers of posters that have been put on this lamp pole over the years. This is what the barber's floor looks like after walking around the chair every day for years. And this mother got her kids the exact same toy when they were born, but you can tell which one got more love.
This is why you should never sleep next to your phone. In 2019, a girl fell asleep listening to her favorite music on her phone. As most people do, she had her phone plugged into the outlet next to her bed. The next morning, the parents walked in and discovered that the phone that was next to her head had exploded. Before I tell you what happened to her, I found a way to finish your math homework in seconds. Just scan the math problem and it'll give you a solution along with an explanation. Press the button on my profile to try it. She was immediately rushed to the hospital, but unfortunately passed away due to her injuries.
See, because I know some of you guys sleep next to your phones, man, watching this clip together, True Guys. I recommend we don't do that anymore. I don't do that anyway, bro. I just put my phone away, man. I don't even want to even like trying to go through it at the middle of the night, bro. Try to focus on sleep. Explode in the middle of the night. We will not be doing that anymore. You gotta stay vigilant, seekers. That's why I watch these clips together with you guys every day. Learning new info, man. It's needed.
Bro.
Oh.
Oh, the dark side of Disney. The dark side, or like the dark ages of Disney. Back in like the mid '90s, early 2000s, they would have like a lot of malfunctions with rides, that bloody period of time or whatever, and like they wouldn't really do anything about it. They would just try to cover everything up because they want to have the reputation that it's like a happy ass place to be, whatever. I'm gonna talk about two cases. There was a worker who was dressed in the Pluto costume. He was 30 years old and he's been working there for like 8 years. During the parade of Beauty and the Beast, he got ran over by one of the... What, you're talking about like the parade shit? The float, yeah. He got ran over by that and tried to cover it up. And another thing too that I didn't know is that back then like they weren't allowed to call 911. Nah, yeah, they wasn't, bro. They had to wait till they left the park, or if anybody died or anything like that, they would report it outside of the park, bro. They would never say that they got into an accident inside the park or got hurt inside the park. And there was another case. There's this boat that when it docks, right? It's supposed to dock slow and nice, but this one keeps docking fast. And a lot of staff members, a lot of people would complain about it, saying like, this shit needs to be worked on, it needs maintenance. But they would just ignore it, because like, it's fine, don't worry about it. And there was one time where it was docking, an employee that was outside where the dock is at saw a rope, tied the rope onto a pole, and that ended up, since the ship was going too fast, it was pulling the rope tight, and ended up taking a chunk out of the boat, which ended up flying into somebody's face, ended up killing them. They tried to cover that up because when the investigators came to see what the fuck happened, they said that he jumped off or something. They basically stalled them for 4 hours while they had Disney employees clean up the mess so it would look like nothing really happened. No fucking way. Yeah. When you were talking about this whole dark age and shit, I thought you were gonna mention like, if you see the old like Mickey costumes, you could put it up and shit. Like they look mad creepy and stuff. You ever seen that video of
What makes Art the Clown so terrifying is that even he doesn't know how powerful he is. When the first Terrifier came out, Art was clearly just your average psychopath who likes to dress up as a clown. But when Terrifier 2 came out, that's when everything changed. Not only for, the plot or the world building, but specifically for Art. Director Damon Leone admitted in an interview that when Art came back to life in the beginning of the second movie, even he was surprised, which sets an entirely different tone for the movie. when the little girl came out of nowhere when he kind of opened up a gate to hell. Instead of being scared, the guy was laughing. Director Damien Leone admitted that he knows how this whole Terrifier saga is going to end, and everything was truly set in motion in Terrifier 2, which is when Leone really knew what he wanted to do with the character Art the Clown. Because every appearance of the clown prior to that wasn't necessarily half-baked, but even Leone admits that Art the Clown didn't necessarily come at him all at once, and it took him a while to truly figure out who that character was. However, with that said, I don't think we know exactly what Art the Clown is truly capable of. Admittedly, I have yet to see Terrifier 3, but from what I have seen online, this is far from the last time we will get to see this dude on screen. And given you know how Terrifier 2 ends, I imagine Art's true ending for this franchise is going to be one of the most historical events in horror movie history. God, I love these movies.
Fun fact, a man from Nova Scotia who traveled to British Columbia to find work in the oil industry drove past a farm outside of Kamloops. He thought the farm was beautiful, so he pulled into the driveway and saw the front door was open. He entered the home and saw that no one was there, so he made himself comfortable. He began by doing some chores. He fed the cats, put out hay for the horses, and did the homeowner's laundry. He then had a shower, shaved, and brushed his teeth using the homeowner's toiletries. He then made and ate a meal, cleaned the dishes, and sat down in front of the fire he had made with a cup of coffee and wrote in the homeowner's diary. When the homeowners came home, that's where they found him, sitting in front of the fire. They obviously called the police, and the man was arrested. When the man appeared in court, it came to light that the truck he had driven to the farm in had been stolen in Quebec, and when the judge asked him what he was thinking, the man said the farm was just so gorgeous he wanted to experience it. The judge sentenced him to 1-year probation and ordered he surrender a DNA sample to the National Crime Database. When the judge asked him what his plans were when he left the court that day, the man said, "I really have nowhere to go. The woods is a good place, I suppose. There's a lot of fish out there."
How you gonna come to somebody else's home and make yourself comfortable? Feed that horse, do all the chores for the man? Or you got a year in prison? Did you get up too easy, bro? Like that, man. I think so. The audacity of him, bro. Going on someone else's property. Making yourself comfortable. You don't pay no bills there, bro.
Famous child actors and where they are now. Frankie Muniz, who starred in Malcolm in the Middle, is now 34 years old. He actually suffers from memory loss now and doesn't even remember being on the show. Next to Shia LaBeouf, he had a very successful childhood career. Then became extremely famous when he starred in Transformers with Megan Fox. However, in 2014, things started going downhill when he was charged with disorderly conduct and criminal trespassing. Then in 2017, he was arrested for public intoxication. He was then sentenced to 1-year probation and required to attend anger management counseling. However, he is now back on track and starring in many movies. The actor who played young Anakin in Star Wars was Jake Lloyd. He was bullied in school and this let him have mental health issues. In 2015, he was arrested for being in a high-speed police chase. He was then diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. And finally, Macaulay Culkin, who starred in Home Alone. A couple years ago, this picture went viral of him and everyone was worried. Luckily, he got his life back on track and is now dating Brenda Song from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
I heard someone said your body
you know how that
choice.
He has a family.
I agree. The best one. It is a sickness. So here's how nature deals with that. Bonobos actually have a system where if one female gets pressed by a male and she's not feeling him, she'll let out a cry, and every female in the group will pull up and put the beats on dude until he learns respect. They actually managed to nerf male aggression through the power of friendship. So you know when a new male lion takes over a pride, the first thing he does is cancel any cubs that didn't come from his. Well, sometimes the lionesses ain't having it. Sometimes they jump the new guy. There was one case in Masai Mara where a male tried to steal food from some cubs and got absolutely obliterated by the mothers. They castrated him. I can't even show you that picture. The biggest threat to a baby bear is a bigger male, and some mother bears will purposely live closer to people, knowing that's the only thing keeping her biggest ops away. Ironically, some bears choose a man. Funny. When a capybara wants to dub a guy, she'll dive into the nearest body of water and just sit there for as long as it takes. By the way, the guinea pig can stay under 5 minutes. Female dragonflies will fake their deaths to avoid male attention. Like they'll freeze in midair, crash to the ground, and just lay there and pray that stops them. Sometimes it doesn't. Some anacondas will seemingly let the male score, only to strangle him to a flatline and then eat him alive. The more you know.
Her mother's fiance took her life and all she wanted was a happy
Shocking.
Charlize Mutton was born in 2013 to her mother Callista, and she was living with her maternal grandmother in Coolangatta, Queensland since the age of 5. Since her parents had separated shortly after her birth, she never had any kind of contact with her father. During this time, Callista was serving a 3-year prison sentence, and this is where she met her partner Justin Stein, and later they became engaged. By December of 2021, Justin was released from prison, and he and Callista invited Charlize to spend Christmas with them at his parents' home in Mount Wilson. Charlize was very happy about this. She finally felt like she was going to have 2 parents, and it got to the point that she was calling Justin daddy, and she felt like this was going to be the father figure she had always hoped for. Charlize had no idea what was going to come next. Callista and Justin were both dealing with addiction, and there was no way that they were capable of taking care of a child. On January 12th of 2022, Charlize was left alone with Justin at his parents' property, and that's when he drugged her with his schizophrenia medication. She became disoriented and afraid, and she was just trying to escape. Justin then fired a shot into her back, which caused her to fall onto the ground. He approached her, and just from 30 centimeters away, he fired a second shot right in her face. He was completely unfazed of what had just happened, so he spent the next hours just going on dating sites and inappropriate websites. It seemed like Charlize's life meant nothing to him, while it was the other way around. She was seeing him as a father figure. Eventually, he put Charlize's lifeless body into a barrel and then loaded it onto his car. He was driving all over Sydney, Australia, looking for a place that he could dump the evidence of his crime. During this time, he was texting Callista that he was trying to save her daughter from these fictional kidnappers and making it seem like she was still alive. Justin's journey finally ended on the banks of the Colo River, where he dumped the barrel with Charlize's lifeless body. Charlize's disappearance was not reported to the police until the very next day. A wide search by emergency services spread over by 5 days, but they failed to find her. Neighbors later informed police that they had saw a car leaving near the Colo River around 4:30 a.m. on January 14th without any headlights on. On January 18th, police eventually found the makeshift coffin, and when they looked inside, they saw Charlize's body, and she was upside down in the fetal position. She was bound with tape and had sand weighing her down. Once the investigation unfolded, Justin told the police that Callista was actually the one who murdered her daughter and put her in the barrel. But with the evidence investigators had, Justin was linked to her murder. In a final attempt to avoid justice, Justin told the police that Satan was the one who told him to do all of this. After 35 hours of deliberation, Justin was found guilty and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
You guys, we know what's been going on with LA with all those fires, man. Like I said, prayers to LA down below. Actors, man, losing everything, bro. Working, well, yeah, you know, working, I guess, up and coming actors in the industry. He was a child actor, too. I wonder if I've seen him in any of his work.
Whatever picture you see first reveals what kind of person you are. Up first is this picture right here. If you just see a normal explosion, then you're the kind of person that gets scared very easily. You also hate fighting and try to avoid any conflict. But if you saw the couple kissing first, you're the kind of person that really wants a relationship, and you constantly think about your loved ones. Up next is this picture right here. If you saw a woman's face and a baby's face first, it means that you are very warm and loving, and you're probably the nicest person out of your friend group. But if you saw the man's face in the tree first, you're a very energetic person, and you're always on the move trying to go do something.
This guy said that he worked.
What did you guys see first, man, for those pictures? I saw the woman's faces and I guess the couple in the explosion, bro. Any determinants? Can that really tell what type of person you are? Who knows?
As a funeral director assistant for about 10 years, and he had a scary incident happen to him at home. He woke up one night needing to use the restroom. There was a long hallway to the restroom, and he would usually walk in the dark since he had done it many times. This one instance, though, as he began to walk in the hallway, it felt cold in the hallway, and then he felt a rush of cold air hit him. He then felt something swirl around his body, grab his neck, and pick him up, where he was trying to balance himself on his toes. He couldn't breathe or move, and he heard growling. In his right ear, he heard it speaking in a god-awful voice. He tried to recite the Our Father prayer, but he couldn't speak, and the words weren't coming to him. He said that after the ghost/demon spoke to him, it let go, and he fell to the floor. He was shaking, and he wanted to scream to wake up other family members, but he didn't, because they all had work and school the following day. He asked many priests about the situation. The common theme
was that it may have been something demonic.
Sure sounds like it. Grabbed and choked him?
Morbid Facts, Part 475. Earlier this year, 21-year-old Texas woman Juniper Bryson was charged with attempting to sell her newborn baby on Facebook. She agreed to sell her newborn to the highest bidder, but was only hoping for $200. Bryson was messaged by various people and told them she just needed enough money to pay for her DoorDash food and to move into a new apartment. She was reported to police by a couple she blocked on Facebook for asking if they could adopt her baby the legal way. Studies have shown that obese drivers are 80% more likely to die in a car accident than drivers who are not overweight. Earlier this year, 2 Brazilian influencers drowned during a yacht party after the boat was capsized by a massive wave. The women likely would have survived the tragedy had they worn life jackets, but reportedly didn't want to ruin their tans in selfies. If you were to remove all the blood vessels in your body and tie them together, they would stretch across the entire circumference of the earth 2 to 4 times. In 2023, a woman's leg became trapped at the end of a movable walkway at an airport in Thailand. Her leg was so deeply stuck that emergency crews had no choice but to amputate it below the knee in order to free her. She was quickly rushed to a nearby hospital where doctors were unable to reattach her leg.
Man, that's scary, bro. See, that's what I said. I remember as a kid, I always used to be scared of those moving elevators, those escalators. I remember one time I got actually stuck in the theater, bro, because I refused to go there, and I said, I ain't going down there, bro. I had to just take the stairs or to go all the way down because I refused to get on that. I sense something was wrong with those things, man. I know I can't be the only one. You know what that is. Don't have to say it. We expert level. We passed this.
I'll never look at Pokemon the same after this. An unknown perpetrator recently managed to hack into Game Freak's documents and released countless files, including future game data, personal info about employees, and most notoriously, lore stories about sexual relationships between humans and Pokemon. One such story involves a young girl who is kidnapped by a Typhlosion disguised as a human, that apparently proceeds to grape the child and get her pregnant with a human Pokemon hybrid. Another story involves a group of humans that capture and torture a bunch of slack-offs. One of the women in the group is later kidnapped by the slack-off tribe and impregnated by their slacking leader, eventually giving birth to her own slack-off baby. Similar disturbing stories detail human relationships with Lapras, Rapidash, and Octillery. Game Freak has reportedly apologized to everyone affected by the data breach. But it's unclear why these particular unsettling stories were ever written in the first place, let alone found among Game Freak's files.
Who's writing some creepy
The
fan
strangest
fiction?
places in the world, part 1. Firstly, on top of a hill in Pennsylvania, some stones can be found that shouldn't actually be there, because there's no nearby high terrain where they could have originated. These are called the ringing rocks, because whenever something hits these stones, they make a strange ringing noise. Next is the petrifying well in England, where water flows from a rock and turns whatever it touches into stone. As you can see, people often leave items like hats, teddy bears, or even bicycles, which appear to have already been turned into stone. Some people believe there's a mystical power, but the scientific reason behind this is the unusually high mineral content in the water, which forms a hard mineral shell on any object it comes into contact with. And within a few months, everything essentially becomes a stone statue.
Normal-looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. Part 28. While this appears to be a book with typical wear and tear, the damage at the bottom is from a bullet hole. The math book belongs to 10-year-old Uzziah Garcia, who along with 18 other students died in the Robb Elementary School shooting that occurred just a few months ago. This mirror selfie shows Giovanni Becerra, a Brazilian anesthetist, who was arrested after assaulting a pregnant woman during her C-section. He heavily sedated her and placed his private part in her mouth for 10 minutes, and is seen in a hidden camera wiping her face with gauze after he was done. This photo shows a group of US airmen who were taken as prisoners of war by Japanese soldiers in 1945. 8 of the 11 men were dissected while they were still alive, and the 3 others were placed in custody. This photo shows Michael and Susan Kuhnhausen after being married for 18 years. In 2006, Michael hired a hitman to kill his wife, However, Susan choked the man with her bare hands, saying, "Tell me who sent you here, and I'll call you an ambulance."
Oh, she said, "You ain't taking me out."
This is the most dangerous demon that you could summon right now. The demon's name is Zozo. It also goes by Zaza, I just thought I'd mention that. This demon is most commonly summoned by Ouija boards, but because of what Zozo does to you, you really do not want to summon it. You see, when Zozo is successfully summoned, he has just one goal. And that goal is to possess the person that summoned him. Once possessed, he will drive you to madness. And then if Zozo is successful, your life will be over, if you get what I'm saying. Now, contact with the demon Zozo has actually been documented over the years. In 1951, a boy named Ronald Doe was allegedly possessed by Zozo after using a Ouija board. And as recently as 2019, a YouTuber named Kyle allegedly made contact with Zozo, and some extremely creepy stuff ended up happening after his contact with the demon. Now, I personally will be attempting to contact Zozo on live tomorrow. Here's the event if you want to check it out. I'll be using a Ouija board and I'll be seeing if I can actually get Zozo to show up.
Hell no. I ain't going up to that event. I got it, man. I see what he been doing, bro. He literally said what he does to the people who try to summon him, and you're gonna do it anyway. Use your head, bro. Use your head, bro. Expert level, we know this, man.
Man, I knew it, y'all. So it came out that the reason why this man unalived his mother, the mother of his child, and his cousin is because he was DL. And it came out and for somebody found out. I think at one point maybe the baby mama found out and the information just kind of spread it. But according to what they're saying, he was actually on his way to unalive someone else. Now, this all happened within the time frame of 9 hours, y'all. He was on his way to unalive another person. After he unalived 3 women, he was on his way to unalive someone else when he got into a standoff with law enforcement and ended up being unalived because he was on a rampage. This is sad, y'all. This is sad. Be your true self. Be your true self. Why would you unalive people because you're afraid to be who you are? And when people find out what you're doing, you unalive them. According to what happened, y'all, this man, according to what I looked into, it has been confirmed that this man was DL. It's just so sad. Rest in peace to his mother, his cousin, and the mother of his child, who was pregnant.
She escaped with a second to spare.
That's powerful.
The drama unfolded at 2 in the morning when the woman arrived home from a long day at work. She says she noticed the stranger lurking outside her building.
So the 50-year-old woman who was seen in that video has to this day still remained unidentified. And on September 23rd, 2021, she was returning home when this man suddenly decided to charge at her. The woman later claimed that she had seen the man and a friend hanging out acting sketchy at the base of her apartments, and that if she hadn't have locked her door the same way that she did and gotten in the nick of time, she still doesn't know what could have happened. I mean, this video is honestly horrifying. I can't imagine someone chasing me to my apartment door and barely being able to lock the door in time to keep them outside. Who knows what this person would have done if they had gotten into the apartment with this woman? It's really frightening. So police at first had no idea who this guy was, but they eventually identified him as 42-year-old Orisha Lucky, and he had 37 prior arrests on his record before that night. 37 different arrests. So after Orisha was arrested, he was charged with attempted burglary, harassment, and criminal trespassing. But it's still, that video is just so frightening, and it really is scary to think of what could have happened if she didn't get the door closed and locked just in time.
She was vigilant.
When an argument would turn deadly. 37-year-old Stephanie McCrae was from Daleville, Alabama, and had 2 sons. She was also married to 37-year-old Ricky McCrae, and they had been married for some time. Their marriage had a lot of happiness and love, but it also had periods of strain and conflict.
Ups and
On
downs.
July 13th of 2024, the couple was at a McDonald's drive-thru. Stephanie was driving, and Ricky was on the passenger side. An argument started between the two, and workers at the McDonald's could hear the argument through the intercom system. As Stephanie reached the pickup window after placing her order, she told the employee to please call the police because her husband had a gun. Ricky, who was in a fit of rage, shot Stephanie 3 times in that drive-through line, killing her instantly. The gunfire was heard by the employees, and they closed the drive-through window immediately and fled for their safety. Once Ricky had shot Stephanie, he fled on foot. Surveillance footage from nearby businesses had captured a man fitting the description of Ricky running away from a McDonald's wearing red shorts and a white tank top. Ricky was arrested and charged with the murder of his wife. Police say that the two were in an off-again, on-again relationship, and they had just discussed the relationship before the incident. Ricky claims he is not guilty and he was home the whole time and it wasn't him. As of right now, Ricky remains in custody awaiting further court proceedings.
What if you had a fetus growing inside of your skull right now and you had no idea? In China, an unborn twin was found inside of the skull of a 1-year-old child. This led to more research in Fetus and fetu, where the twins fuse and then only one of them kind of undergo development. And in this case, the other one's in their skull. Also, as you can see behind me, this is what they pulled out of the brain. It's about the size of a hand from what I can tell. Maybe a little smaller than a hand. I see some fingers up over here. But that's still pretty significant in size to be inside of your brain like that. And the x-rays just look wild. I'm curious to see how this affected the other twin. Did it have any cognitive impairments on the other one? Did it hurt at all or something? I'm just surprised the other twin's body, while undergoing development, didn't dissolve the twin and kind of consume them. That's apparently a thing that happens when twins fuse. The other one kind of absorbs the weaker one. But this thing looks like it came out of Stranger Things, like season 2, when Will puked that thing into the sink. Also looks like a sandworm from Dune, or Jabba the Hutt. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Man, that did look like something straight out of a horror movie. I don't know how that young boy survived. And it was in his skull too? That's why they had to do research on it. Seems like because it baffled them as well. We know what that is.
Genuinely looking like the end of days in LA this morning. Satellite images today show some jaw-dropping before and afters, with entire neighborhoods reduced to rubble. And only 2 days in, without any signs of slowing down, it has already become the most destructive fire ever to hit Los Angeles County. And depending on how bad things get, some reports are even talking about it becoming the most expensive in US history too. This is because just some of the 7 current fires are tearing through some of the most expensive land in the entire country, including the Palisades and the iconic Hollywood Hills. Both are currently 0% contained, with authorities saying currently there is just no possibility of bringing them under control. A bunch of celebrities, including Paris Hilton and Miles Teller, have had their houses burnt to the ground, with actor Steve Guttenberg calling the disaster the Great Equalizer. And just to make matters worse, Pasadena's issued an urgent alert saying that their water might be unsafe to drink, and the LA District Attorney was forced to threaten prosecution of people who are now using the crisis as an opportunity to loot, rob, and scam victims affected by the fires. As always, I'll keep you guys updated.
Come on, man. People gotta be better. A natural disaster's going on and you thinking, yeah, this is a good time to loot. People always trying to take advantage of chaos. Never fails.
I usually hate speaking about cases that involves innocent children, but this one really needs a lot of attention right now. 5-year-old Mercedes Lozoya was a victim of extreme torture and abuse. Mercedes lived with her mother, Katrina Mendoza, who recently moved in with her boyfriend, Jose Ruiz. On February 7th, 2022, Katrina brought Mercedes, who was unresponsive, to Southwest General Hospital in San Antonio. The doctors did try to save Mercedes, but unfortunately, she did pass away shortly after she arrived to the hospital. Mercedes' body was extremely swollen and she did have a lot of bruises and cuts. She also had visible sections of her hair missing that appear to have been torn out. I really didn't want to mention this part, but Mercedes was also forced to eat dog feces. According to close family, the abuse towards Mercedes first began when she was born. Mercedes' father's side of the family explains that Katrina always had a lot of anger towards Mercedes, and she did favor her other child a lot more. They also said that they always noticed bruises and cuts on Mercedes' body, and they tried to get custody of her so many times, but they were unsuccessful. Katrina really tried to dismiss all the responsibility and blame everything on her boyfriend, Jose, and said that he was the one who was responsible for Mercedes' death. Both Katrina Mendoza and Jose Ruiz were arrested and charged with injury to a child, but this case is fairly new, so I will keep an eye on it and I will update you guys with anything that comes out.
It's justice, bro.
There's a really strange missing persons case happening right now out of Utah. Let's talk about it. This is 21-year-old Elizabeth Green. She was last seen walking to work along a dirt road in Callio, Utah, which is an extremely remote area in northern Snake Valley. Like, there really isn't much out there, and the area she went missing is roughly 3 hours from any major city. Elizabeth had just started a new job at a remote ranch, and she was walking there that day, but never made it, and it's almost like she vanished into thin air. She was reported missing to the police later that day, and they began looking for her right away. Authorities have searched the area around her home and the ranch that she was going to work at, including the route that she would have taken to get there, but no trace of Elizabeth has been found. Police searched the ranch, which has not been publicly named, just one day after Elizabeth was reported missing, but according to them, they didn't find anything suspicious. The rancher said that she never made it to the ranch that day and that he had no contact with her, so it's left authorities wondering what truly happened to her that day. Police have tried pinging her phone, but they aren't able to get a connection, and they've searched all of her electronic devices, but they've all turned up nothing. There's been no activity on her social media accounts since that day either. Her mom thinks that Elizabeth could have possibly been picked up that day, but she just doesn't know by who. There's also a possibility that she arranged to have someone pick her up, but they didn't show, which could have led to Elizabeth trying to walk through the remote desert by herself. According to her family, she does suffer from some mental health issues and has ran away before, but no matter what, she's always stayed in contact with her family and she's always come back within a day. She would never just up and leave like this. Just based on the circumstances, police believe that she's in immediate danger. Like I mentioned before, Callio is extremely remote and so far away from any major city, so the fact that she just mysteriously disappeared and left behind no trace in a matter of hours is just terrifying. It's now been over a month and Elizabeth is still missing. With the summer weather coming up, we need to find out what really happened to her that day. These are some of her characteristics and what she was last seen wearing. If you have any information about this case, please contact the number on the screen.
So I found these conspiracy theories that are so believable they actually might be true. Part 2. Number 1. An unknown super predator in the ocean. There was a 3-meter long great white shark that was tagged. 2 hours later, a fast-paced dive was recorded, and it was too deep for great whites. There was a temperature shift that went from 46 Fahrenheit to 78. That is a temperature that can only be achieved inside the belly of another living animal. Now, we all know that killer sharks kill sharks, orcas. But let's not forget that orcas are technically whales. They breathe air. They don't go that deep into the ocean. Number 2, The Simpsons 9/11 attack prediction. In 1997, The Simpsons released this episode predicting a 9/11 event at the World Trade Center in New York. When they reached, there were Jews outside staring at the towers waiting for something to occur. This was released 4 years before the actual incident. No comment. Number 3, Courage, the Cowardly Dog. Muriel and Eustace were turned into puppets at the end of the first season. He had full control over his owners, and all the other episodes were completely the dog's imagination. My childhood just got destroyed. This one shocked me the most. Number 4, Amber Heard's lawyer. In the 2013 film premiere of The Long Ranger, there was a fan holding a camera hoping to get a picture with the star himself. So the theory is she was in on it the whole time. She's obsessed with Johnny. This is dangerous. What's the creepiest conspiracy theory that you heard of?
Maybe that aliens are real. That's the creepiest one I've heard. You guys have any story seekers? You know what to do. I'd love to check them out. The Amber Heard's lawyer theory one got to me though. They were similar, so. And we know how people are about celebrities. They are obsessive.
This case was brought to my attention as not a lot of people are talking about it. 27-year-old Gahar Reamer Weeb, who went by George, and if I mispronounce that name, please correct me in the comments, he was found deceased in a field back in June of 2020. His remains were so brutal that it took investigators 10 days to identify who he was. After they made the identification, they quickly deemed that this was a homicide. After making their first arrest, they quickly were told that George was tortured for 3 consecutive days until he took his last breath. 3 more arrests have been made since then. The last arrest was actually just last week. From what reports have said, they believe that only 4 people were involved, and so far 4 people have been arrested, so I believe that George's family can finally seek justice.
Yeah. What happened, bro?
I don't know about y'all, but this is more than just a little spooky. Pure evidence.
Hello, my friend. Those aren't skulls discovered in Africa, but they are still very cool, as these are actually skulls created by an artist named Takeshi Yamada. He's known for creating some very interesting things. I love his creations. And of course he's created a range of very interesting skulls. As always, come talk to me on Discord. We've been having some cool discussions today, and I've been sharing some AI art. This is an AI depiction of a jinn from Islam and Arabian folklore. To talk on my Discord, check pinned.
You always be exposing the truth, man.
They had no idea that this casual trip to the Palace of Versailles would turn into something that defied all explanation. Somehow they managed to travel more than 100 years into the past and found themselves surrounded by people and landmarks that no longer existed. On the newest episode of My Dark Corner, my new podcast, I talk about the Moberly Jourdain incident. If you've never heard about this, it's a case of possible time travel. Charlotte Moberly, the principal of St. Hugh's College in Oxford, decided to take a trip to France and visit the vice principal candidate, Eleanor Jourdain, in order to see if they'd be a good fit working together. After spending days exploring various landmarks, they decided to take a trip to the Palace of Versailles. They weren't expecting much. They thought it would be a pretty uneventful day, but things took a very strange turn. As they wandered deeper into the gardens in search of the Petit Trianon, the atmosphere shifted. The air felt heavy, the sounds of tourists disappeared, and the world around them seemed different. They passed several people dressed in old-fashioned clothing, like 2 men who wore gray-green coats and 3 cornered hats. At first, they assumed these men were gardeners, but something about the scene didn't feel right. As they walked on, they felt an overwhelming sense of anxiety and depression, like they'd stepped into a dreamlike haze. Then, as they neared what they believed to be the Petit Trianon, Charlotte noticed a woman sitting near the terrace sketching. Now, this woman looked eerily similar to Marie Antoinette. She was wearing an oversized hat and a light summer's dress that looked centuries out of place. Just as suddenly as this strange dreamlike situation started, it was over. They finally reached the Petit Trianon and everything seemed normal again. Tourists, wedding parties, the usual hustle and bustle. But when Charlotte and Eleanor finally compared their accounts, they realized that they hadn't seen the same things. Charlotte saw the woman that looked like Marie Antoinette on the terrace, but Eleanor hadn't. When they finally revisited the palace, they were shocked to find the grounds looked incredibly different. What they saw was how the palace was supposed to look present day, but somehow what they saw in August of 1901 was what the palace looked like over 100 years earlier. For several years, they tried to make sense of what they saw, researching the palace's history and trying to find a solution. Some people believe they somehow slipped back in time, while others think they might have experienced one of Marie Antoinette's memories. But to this day, no one really knows what happened. If this story seems interesting to you, check out My Dark Corner for the full episode. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the audio version
episodes in kids' cartoons.
Talk about
In an episode of Care Bears, the bears and their cousins find themselves in a place called Drab City, where color has vanished and people who live there don't seem to care about anything. This was caused by a mysterious force that took everyone's color and feelings away. And slowly, it started going after the bears, and they eventually gave in until help arrived. The whole episode was about mental health, and it came off as way too heavy for a kid's show. Next, in The Fairy Godparents, Timmy gets upset for not being appreciated for the good deeds he's done and wishes he was never born. He's then transported to an alternate universe where it shows that everyone's lives are better without it. And to add insult to injury, Timmy gets sent to what's basically the pits of hell. And when Timmy gets a hold of Jorgen's wand, he takes time to think if wishing himself to exist is worth making everyone's lives miserable. It's a pretty dark and messed up plot. And lastly, this Thomas and Friends episode starts as per usual, with Thomas giving a helping hand. Then, it's not long after that a character named Stepney ends up getting lost in a scrapyard, getting lost in a fog and almost getting scrapped in the process. This was meant to warn kids to be careful while on their journeys, or you may not live to tell your story.
Ghost stories from...
Hey man, that's freaking crazy, bro. The messaging, man, in these kid shows, man, it's like when you think about it, when you're a kid, you're just so oblivious to it, but there's real life messages in all pieces of media, man. You just gotta be able to see it. Because I sure wasn't picking up on it as a kid.
From around the world. This is hands down my most requested video. Mexico, La Llorona. Once there was a woman named Maria who married a rich man and had 2 children. But eventually her marriage hit a rough patch and her husband started spending less and less time with her and the kids. Until finally Maria caught him cheating. Absolutely enraged at this, she ends up drowning her 2 children. She immediately regrets it and tried to save them, but it was too late. Then she stopped eating and grew thinner and thinner until she resembled a skeleton. Eventually she finally passed away by the same river that she drowned her children, still crying and mourning over them. So after she died, she went to heaven but was denied entry. She was banished to purgatory on earth until she could find her lost sons. And that's how she became La Llorona, which also translates to the weeping woman. She floats over bodies of water in a long white funeral gown. She also kidnaps children and attacks cheating husbands.
Damn. Okay. I'm probably gonna have to call edit on this one. Yeah, I'm gonna call it edit. What do you guys think?
The darkest conspiracy theories. The Teletubbies theory. The theory says that the show is inspired by historic events.
Really?
That happened in a Bulgarian mental facility. Each Teletubby is inspired by a kid that was experimented on. Lola was based on a child who had facial disfigurement.
Ooh.
And had to smile all the time. And ended up lying in his own puke. And Poe was based on a child who fell into fire, which is recognizable why his color is red.
Here's some conspiracy theories
You
that
believe
I
that?
think pass the level of theory and are true. Women's clothing is designed with little to no pockets for the sole purpose of selling more purses. High-end art is just a scheme to launder money and avoid taxes. Like this one here, sold for $43 million. This one sold for $46 million. This one was $84 million. Someone actually paid $87 million for this. This has got to contribute to inflation in some way. Things that happen in the entertainment industry, like with movies, TV shows, video games, are done on purpose to gauge interest and get opinions before an official announcement. That little bit of dust that comes off the end of tissues when you pull them out of the box is specifically designed to get you to sneeze, that way you need more tissues. Government orchestrates their own conspiracy theories to get us distracted from actual problems.
Hey man, she was hitting that head on the nail, bro. Especially like I said, how some of those theories, how they can be true. I'm about to see the guys think, especially the last one when she said how sometimes the government they be trying to put theories out there trying to distract us from the bigger truth. That's why I tapped in with this or tuned into this type of content, man, so I can learn, so I can expand my mind. I didn't want to be distracted no more. Where's this guy?
Some trees can actually grow inside of your lungs. In Russia, doctors performed surgery on a man named Artyom Sidorkin, suspecting that he had a cancerous tumor in his lungs. Instead of a tumor, though, they found a 5-centimeter fir tree branch inside of his lung.
What?
Doctors believe that Sidorkin accidentally swallowed a fir tree bud, which later grew into a branch. The probability of dying on your birthday is higher than any other day. There is actually a 14% chance of dying on your birthday than any other day. This is a shocking phenomenon called the birthday effect, which may be due to extra stress, drinking more, or people engaging in risky behaviors on their birthdays. A devil's chair exists in many cemeteries. In various cemeteries around the world, there are stone chairs called devil's chairs. These chairs were often used by mourners to sit and grieve, but legends and superstitions have given them a sinister reputation. Some stories claim that if you sit in one at midnight, the devil himself will appear. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York City than you are to be bitten by a shark. There could be someone secretly living in your wall or attic without you even knowing it. It's called frogging, and people say that it's becoming more and more common. So if you hear strange noises, notice things missing or moved, or your box of Frosted Flakes cereal is all of a sudden empty, there could be a frogger living in your home.
Here's what some of the most...
I didn't even know that was an actual term, but froggers, that's actually one of my worst fears ever, man. That's like imagine somebody in your own space and you have no idea. Gotta pay attention, man. And that fir tree going inside that person, I would have said that's impossible, man, but we just saw it. Well, you know.
Most famous monsters actually are the chupacabra. The goat-griefing livestock leech believed to be first seen in Puerto Rico was more than likely a dog with a severe case of mange, and that's when mites burrow into the skin and basically cause parasitic alopecia. Bigfoot, different animals, same beast, or whatever it was Kobe said. Anyway, it was probably a mangy bear. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. What the hell mange does? Coke Bear done graduated to meth?
Ooh.
I don't mean numbers. The Loch Ness Monster. There have been many theories, but what's most likely was probably just an escaped circus elephant with trunks out like Dragon Ball. For centuries, there have been stories of killer Cyclops, a one-eyed op to humanity. Whole time, someone probably just found an expired elephant skull in an Olympic long jump to a conclusion. And last, almost every sea monster story you've ever heard was probably just some whale freeing his willy. That's exactly what you think it is, the more you know.
Here's how Area 51 became the center for alien conspiracy theories. In 1989, a man named Bob Lazar claimed that he had worked at a facility near Area 51 known as S4. According to Lazar, the facility was being used to reverse engineer alien technology recovered from crashed UFOs. Lazar's claims were highly controversial, and many people dismissed him as a hoaxer. However, his story only served to fuel the already existing rumors of alien activity at Area 51. Since then, countless conspiracy theories have emerged about what's really going on at Area 51. Some people believe that the government is hiding evidence of extraterrestrial life, while others think that the base is being used to develop top-secret weapons and technology.
What do you guys think?
That's what Mordecai said. Take that back, Rigby. They started fighting, and it didn't take long for them to bump into a microwave which took them up into space. And while in space, the argument still continued. You're over here turning on me, Mordecai, but I'm your bro. I'm just looking out for you. That's what Mordecai said. I don't care. I've been trying to get with Margaret for years, and yet every time she turns me down. And next thing you know, Mordecai pushes Rigby off, killing Rigby. That's when Mordecai says, wait, no! But the damage was already done, and Rigby's funeral went down the following week. After that day, Mordecai got so depressed, and ended up killing himself later that day by jumping off a cliff. Mordecai killed his best friend, and he disintegrated into the abyss, all because he was a simp.
He couldn't take that L, bro. It drove him insane. What the hell? I can't believe that freaking aired. That was on like Cartoon Network too. I'm gonna have to check. We're gonna have to review that episode, man. See if it's legit.
Who eat humans. Komodo dragon. Piranhas. Crocodiles. Jaguars. African driver ant.
African driver ants eat humans?
Bear. Lion. Catfish.
Catfish eat humans now? What the hell?
Tiger. Cheetah.
dogs too? What the hell?
polar bear.
This is part 2 of the crime scene
That
photos
shocked
that were
me.
leaked from the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case, revolving around the murder of her mom, Dee Dee. This is another photo that was taken inside the house. You can see that the kitchen is absolutely trashed. This is inside their living room. Again, literally trash everywhere. This next one, please, if you're squeamish, look away. Okay, I cropped the photo, but basically her mom was found in this pink bed sheet. I'm covering a lot of, She was found laying on her stomach with stab wounds all over her body and a huge gash mark on her neck. Again, those photos are literally online where you see everything. I cropped this one again, but this is the crime scene bit. This half, it was just all blood in a wrapped body. I know a lot of you are really curious and you want to see these photos, but they are very dark and gruesome. Even photos of Dee Dee nude from the waist down. It was a very dark and gruesome murder.
Cursed games you should never play. Part 24.
Dark case.
Blue baby, baby blue. Begin at night. Go into a bathroom and turn off all the lights. Then lock the door behind you and face the mirror. As you're looking into the mirror, position your arms as though you're cradling a baby. While doing this, chant the phrase blue baby, baby blue 13 times. As you do this, you'll feel the weight in your arms begin to grow. And at some point, you'll start to feel scratching on your arms. Once you feel the scratching, immediately drop the baby in the toilet, flush it, unlock the door, and leave. If you're alive, you won. But there are 2 possible losing conditions. The lesser of 2 being the scratching in your arms becoming unbearable, or the second one being a woman appearing in the mirror. She will demand her baby back and probably kill you.
I never play those type of
These are
games.
scary cartoon
Never.
truths that would terrify you. Part 12. Okay, so Talking Angela started as a mobile phone app for a lot of children. Angela is a white cat with blue eyes who has conversations with you and could answer any question you ask. But recently, Talking Angela turned into an app to spy on young children. It is said the app was taken over by a creepy man or a very creepy group. It's said that if you're over 18, nothing happens. But if you're younger than that, the cat will then start asking you very weird questions. Like,
What?
where do you live? What is your name? And what are your parents' names? The creepy man or group are able to take pictures of you through your own phone. Also, if you zoom in on Angela's eye, you can see a man watching you. And if that's not scary enough, a young boy named Eli went missing shortly after downloading the app, and he was never found.
Hey man, that's how you gotta you have to know what type of apps you download, man. Especially when it comes to these kids' apps, because they just use as a cover for something else, man. Like a simple kids app, bro. You think talking to a cat, you wouldn't think nothing of it. It's like it's the perfect cover, seekers. We learning out here. Got it. Call it like I see it.
Every time I go to chase it, it runs. I don't think it's a good idea I chase it anymore. You might think I'm playing with him. Every time. I see him, but I'm not gonna act like I see him. I see him right there ducking. Oh, what the hell is wrong with his head?
I see that too.
Why does he look like that? I want to try to zoom. Oh my god, why does he look like that?
All of the Rugrats are
Oh.
a part of Angelica's imagination. They aren't real. None of them? Chucky died in the same accident that his mom died. And that's why his dad is always so nervous and freaking out, because he has to deal with it.
What about Tommy?
Well, Tommy was a stillborn. And that's why Stu goes down into the basement late at night, making toys for the son he wish he had. That's why he's always depressed.
What are you doing?
Making chocolate pudding.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Why on earth are you making chocolate pudding?
Because I've lost control of my life.
And the twins ended up being a miscarriage. It was early in the pregnancy, so Angelica didn't know if it was going to be a boy or a girl, so she just imagined both.
What about Susie?
Susie is real and going along with all of Angelica's crazy imaginations because it's her only friend. She tries to make her happy. But the one baby that is real is Bill.
Dill goes against Angelica's crazy imagination and doesn't do what she expects. And that's why Angelica freaks out on Dill all the time and gets so upset.
Rugrats, man, they weren't real the whole time? Show that there to a couple of people, their minds gonna be blown. The hell? The hell?
The reason I had to move out of my flat.
Okay.
I was home alone.
What the hell is that? It's staring at her, and the dogs can see it too. It's like the dog can sense it. If you know that ain't your mom, don't open it up. How the hell they unlock the door?
Then what's your name then?
Yeah, what the hell? She was right now opening up that door. That was a creepy one. For sure.
This teenager became concerned for her ex and tried to help him. Little did she know she was about to be brutally killed. Lauren Astley was 18 years old from Wayland, Massachusetts. She began dating Nathaniel Fujita when the pair were in high school together. Nathaniel was a popular football player. The pair were described as being quite on and off. On the 1st of April 2011, she decided to end the relationship with Nathaniel. However, it did not go down very well at all, and his friends reported that he became depressed and withdrawn. He stopped doing things he used to enjoy doing, and he just didn't seem to care about life anymore. In summer 2011, the pair attended the same graduation party. It was reported that at the party, Nathaniel got quite jealous of when Lauren was talking to other boys. Nathaniel got quite drunk, and Lauren's mum was actually at the party, and Lauren ran up to her crying. She said that Nathaniel wouldn't leave her alone and was harassing her. Now, Nathaniel got so angry at this party that he punched the tent that everybody was in and caused it to collapse.
Damn.
He was then asked to leave the party. It was reported that Nathaniel started drinking quite heavily and becoming even more depressed. His mum actually got so worried about him that she reached out to Lauren. She asked Lauren if she could help and maybe speak to him, and Lauren agreed because she was concerned. Lauren agreed to chat to him and meet him at his house on the 3rd of July 2011. Tragically, she had no idea she would not leave the house alive. She texted him stating here and entered the house at approximately 7:05 p.m. Nathaniel lured her into the garage, slit her throat and strangled her with a bungee cord. He then drove her car to Town Beach and disposed of the keys down a drain. After running home, he put her body in his car and dumped her in a secluded area nearby. Obviously, Lauren's family got really concerned when she didn't get home. Nathaniel, as obviously the last person she was meeting up with, was reported as a suspect. Police found bloodstains in his garage and a big bag full of clothes soaked in blood. Lauren's body was found not long after. Nathaniel's defense in court stated that he was suffering a massive depressive episode and therefore should not be held criminally responsible.
Really?
However, luckily he was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. People are calling this case the Incest House of Horrors. This case comes with just about the biggest trigger warning for the most horrific things you could hear. It was October 2023 in the quiet Polish village called Koniki. An arrest was about to happen which would shake the small community. The true horrors of what had been going on under everyone's noses were absolutely chilling. Peter Girasik was 54 years old. He and his wife Hannah had had a staggering 12 children together. Hannah had passed away 15 years prior, leaving Peter to look after the children on his own. Now, the house that he lived in was far from ideal for such a huge family. Locals were also often concerned about hearing cries and screaming from inside the home. They knew Peter had a close relationship with his 20-year-old daughter, Paulina, but they had no idea just how disturbing things were getting inside the home. That was until local workers at a cake shop nearby tipped off social services. They had serious concerns about what was going on in the property, and they were right to be worried. When officers arrived at the home, they could smell something absolutely potent. Upon closer inspection of the property, they found decomposing, dead babies in the basement. 2 of the tiny bodies were wrapped in plastic bags, and 1 was just lying on the floor. Now, at the time of the discovery, Peter wasn't actually living in this house with all 12 of his children. Some had escaped. He was living in the house with his daughter Paulina and his disabled son Damien. It would later be revealed that sometimes Damien was seen sat outside the house crying. He told officers that his dad would have S with his sister, so the dad's daughter, and regularly chase Damien out the house and beat him when he wanted to do this. Damien was abused and was given little more than cold rice to live off. Horrifically, police discovered that the deceased babies in the basement were actually the product of incest. The 3 babies found in the cellar were believed to have been killed just after they were born. Frustratingly, Peter had actually been on the radar of police. He'd been investigated 5 times over allegations of incest. He was arrested finally by police, and his daughter Paulina was also arrested. Thankfully, many of Peter's children had managed to flee, and his one daughter, Cassia, referred to him as a monster. He's now facing charges of murder, incest, and R.
People literally stretched their own skulls. Back in the 1500s, the Incas practiced something called cranial deformation. They would wrap string tightly around the newborn's heads so that their heads would stretch as they grew. This would cause them to have cone-shaped heads like the one seen here. And during these times, it wasn't considered a bad thing. This was considered a symbol of beauty according to their tribe.
Whoa, okay. What do you guys think about that?
Selfie before being struck by a train. In October of 2011, 15-year-old Essa Ricker, Kelsey Webster, and 13-year-old Savannah Webster waved at a westbound train crew as they were taking a selfie. As the 3 took the photo standing on the tracks, they had no idea that there was a train coming right at them. After they took their photo, they decided to post it on Facebook, and they captioned it saying, "Standing right by a train, ahaha, this is awesome." They were so preoccupied with the train track selfie that they had no idea that the train was literally right behind them. The conductor on the train, John Anderson, stated that the girls looked like they were completely in their own world. The engineer on the train blasted a horn to get the girls' attention, but they were oblivious and did not even flinch. Trains travel at 55 miles per hour, and they require more than a mile to come to a halt, and this is even after emergency brakes are applied. Once the train had gotten closer to the girls, it was approximately at 39 miles per hour.
Damn.
The train conductor and engineer tried to shout at the girls, but nothing worked. They observed the girls for about 12 seconds before they vanished from their view. About a quarter mile down, the train came to a halt, and John ran back to the girls. The first girl he saw showed no signs of life, and the second girl he saw had succumbed to the accident. John had located 13-year-old Savannah near the railroad crossing. She was injured and distressed, but she was still breathing. She was sent to a hospital in Salt Lake City, and doctors discovered that she had over a dozen broken bones, internally bleeding, blood clots, and a severe brain injury. Despite efforts to save her, she tragically passed away 3 days later after the incident.
Skinwalker caught on
Tragic.
camera.
Huh?
Whoa, run. Go.
What the hell is that?
What the hell?
The jets.
I did. Oh my gosh. He's going to the basement.
Gotta lock it now. Oh shit! Oh my god!
you guys think? Was that legit? Or was that an edit? We've been hearing some cases about the Skinwalkers, man. How many y'all comment down below what you guys think? They exist? That's an edit.
Yep, this Doomsday Clock is about to strike in 90 seconds, and when it hits midnight, that means civilization has reached its end, and it's our fault. Citizens were terrified to hear that our Doomsday Clock, created by a group of scientists led by Albert Einstein and Robert Oppenheimer, has just reached its end. In January 2023, during a haunting presentation, scientists unveiled the shocking state of the clock, and it was very bad. The 12-hour clock is not a normal clock, but was created to represent threat levels and how long until humanity destroys the world, midnight being the end. The clock has mostly remained hours away from midnight through history, even through many wars. But in 2020, with the onset of the pandemic, people were shocked when it was moved to 100 seconds. But now, only 3 years later, in 2023, we are at 90 seconds, making it the closest it's ever been in recorded history. With the rise of deadly wars and human diseases, the climate crisis, and the rise of nuclear weapons all in 1 year, scientists are terrified, saying to brace for impact in 2024, as it may be the end of humanity as we know it. Given the state of the world this year, do you think it will be less than 60 seconds?
I really do believe.
What do you guys think, man? I didn't even know we had a freaking Doomsday Clock. And it's by Robert Einstein. By Einstein and Robert Oppenheimer. And it's that close. We're like teetering toward the edge, man. I don't like that at all.
I believe some people can be evil up to the point where they were even probably kids, y'all. This is the case of 4-year-old Derek Robbie. This happened in the 90s, and he was actually just walking to summer camp. His mom let him go by himself. I believe it was like 1 block away, and she let him walk there by himself for the very first time that day. Now, unfortunately, he did not make it to summer camp, and his remains were found in the nearby woods in between his house and the summer camp he was going to. Now, when they found his remains, they said that it appeared that he had been eaten with rocks and strangled, and that he had Kool-Aid poured all over his body, and unfortunately, he had also been SA'd with a stick. Now, when all this happened, they had brought this 13-year-old in for questioning because he had been acting very strange and going around and asking people very bizarre questions, such as how long, does it take for them to collect DNA evidence, and what if they find out that the unaliver was a kid?
Weird.
And also, when he was offered Kool-Aid during the interrogation process, he threw it all over the floor. He eventually ended up confessing to unaliving this poor 4-year-old baby because he had been being bullied by other kids at school, and he was very angry about this and wanted to let out his anger on someone else. Now, this is him now, and he actually has been released from prison since all this is happening just recently and let back into society. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it, but rest in peace to this poor baby.
She took the life of her husband after she found out that he was actually born a woman. In February of 2002, Elizabeth Radofsky met Angelo Headington, and Elizabeth was working as a salesman, and she went to the farm where Angelo was working. The two instantly hit it off, and they started a romantic relationship. About 3 months later, they ended up getting married, but the relationship quickly turned into one with anger, rage, and violence. 3 months into their marriage, Angelo viciously attacked Elizabeth, and this is what caused her to fatally stab Angelo in self-defense. When paramedics were called to the scene, they were checking out Angelo's body, trying to stop the bleeding, and that's when they noticed that his private area was actually prosthetic, and he was born as a woman named Angela. Elizabeth stated that Angelo told her that his ex had burned his genitals in a fit of rage, so when they were intimate, it was always dark with the lights off, and she never saw him take off his clothes in front of her. Elizabeth was arrested on second-degree murder charges after Angelo had died in the hospital. Elizabeth told authorities that Angelo had attacked her, and she had no other choice but to defend herself. The charges against Elizabeth ended up being dropped, and the grand jury determined that she did act in self-defense.
You was that deep into the relationship and you didn't even know? People can hide it for that long, man? Damn. Imagine you being into a relationship you didn't even know that the person was someone else. People, man. You got anything nowadays.
Coincidences in history. This is Mary Ashford, and this is Barbara Forrest. Each of these women were strangled to death, and their bodies were found just 300 yards away from each other.
Ooh.
They were both 20 years old at the time of their killings, and they shared the same birthday. On the night of their killings, both women had just got done visiting a friend, went home, changed into a new dress, and then had gone to a dance. And at this dance, they would both meet their eventual killers, who were both named Thorne. This is Abraham Thorne, the man who is presumed to have killed Mary Ashford. And this is Michael Thorne, the man who was presumed to have killed Barbara Forrest. Both these killings happened on May 27th. Mary Ashford died on May 27, 1817, and Barbara Forrest died on May 27, 1974, exactly 157 years after Mary Ashford. For more,
do you know how long those things are like lining up? Like how many times?
Conspiracy theories, part 2. This one's really creepy. Alright guys, so you guys know how everyone said the world was going to end in 2012? What if it actually did and we're just all living in hell? Because I feel like everything in our world has just gotten progressively worse since then. Just something to think about.
Is you on to something? Been up and downs, but it seems like we've been going towards, I guess, a downtrend since 2012. That's a damn shame. Where's this guy? That's headed. Call it like you see it, man.
The darkest conspiracy theories. iPhone theory. An iPhone stands for I. It is also secretly listening to your conversations. What does Siri spell backwards? Siri backwards spells iris. And if you look at the Apple logo closely, it represents the first sin.
Disney just got completely exposed. Okay, so we all know how Disney is known for all their classic movies. Well, what if I told you every single one of these movies is a copy and paste of another one? Disney literally recycles animation from other movies, and then change little things like characters and...
Whoa. That won't be the first time something like that happened. Damn, there's similarities. Maybe it drew inspiration, or do you think they just simply copied and pasted it to another movie? No, you saw the similarities.
Let me get a pair of twins. All right? They're born the same time, they're the same age. And now one of them, I will send off at 90% the speed of light. And the other I'll keep down here on Earth. So we can ask, how does their aging rates compare? Okay? Turns out, this twin that I've already sent, his clock ticks 44% as fast as this twin's clock. Our clock here on Earth. So, this twin is aging more slowly than this one. That's at 90% the speed of light. Let's pump it up some more.
Okay.
99% the speed of light. Now the time ticks at only 14% the rate, as it does back here on Earth. How about 99.9%? We're getting closer and closer to the speed of light itself. And at that speed, the clock ticks only 4.5% as fast. So, what does this mean? Tell you what it means. This twin that traveled for 5 years and comes back, if they went at 99.9% the speed of light, after 5 years, they're 5 years older. We have aged 110 years.
Damn.
It's called the twin paradox.
This isn't an animal video, but I feel like not enough people know this, and I honestly have nothing better to do. So I was going back and forth with one of my friends, and we were insulting each other the way only real friends can. And she would say, at least I got 2 functional knees, so I said, at least I got 2 functional parents. You know, cute stuff like that. And she was like, at least my nipples work. I could not tell you where that flex came from, but fun fact. Men actually can produce milk, and it happens more often than you think. Men's nipples are fully functional, it's just that they get suppressed by male hormones. And the hormone responsible for making milk is prolactin, and the production of prolactin is controlled by dopamine and estrogen. Basically, these hormones send a message to the pituitary gland and tell it to either stop or continue releasing prolactin. But sometimes a hormone malfunction can cause men to lactate. The weirdest example I can think of is back in World War II. When prisoners of war ate a full meal after being starved for months, their hormones shot up faster than their liver could keep up with, causing them to spontaneously lactate. Also, if your pituitary gland forgets that it's not supposed to release prolactin, you can end up dripping Nesquik too. In really rare cases, nipple stimulation while holding a baby was enough to cause lactation in some men. But also there's a chance it means you have a tumor. So yeah, men can produce milk, and I can't produce a healthy way to explain my...
I didn't know that was possible. These things, when we watch these clips, tap in with us. You gonna learn some new things. It's gonna blow your mind away. I always thought that was a myth.
Here's some of the biggest movie mistakes you never noticed. In the movie American Sniper, in this scene, they replaced the baby with a literal doll. And if you look closely, you'll see Bradley Cooper moving the doll's hand with his thumb to make it appear more real. But that doll isn't fooling anyone. Next, in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, in this scene where Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy battle, if you look closely, you can see a cameraman watching the fight who's obviously not supposed to be there. Next, in the movie Jurassic Park, in this scene where 2 raptors enter the kitchen, when it cuts to the next shot, you can actually see a human hand pushing the dinosaur. Apparently, a crew member was trying to keep the balance of the model dinosaur, but no one noticed, and it slipped through editing and made the final movie. So in Thor: The Dark World, Thor very casually and politely hangs his hammer up on the coat rack, which wasn't in the script and sparked a huge debate online about whether the coat rack is worthy. Now in Harry Potter, Severus Snape tells Harry that he has the eyes of his mother, but the problem with that is his mother has brown eyes and he has blue eyes. And in Jason Bourne, in this scene, he's supposed to disappear into the surrounding city, and at first glance it looks like he does. But if you look closely, as this little car passes him, you can see his bright red jacket and his feet try to hide behind it.
Here's some of the most random fun facts you will ever hear in your life. Armadillo shells are actually bulletproof. One time a man was hospitalized when he shot at an armadillo and the bullet ricocheted off the shell and hit him instead. There's only one letter in the entire alphabet that isn't in any US state name, and that letter is Q. There's not a single state with the letter Q in its name. 71% of the earth is covered in water, and humans can only use 0.007% of that water. 2.5% of the total water is fresh water, and only 1% of that is actually accessible. The bumblebee bat is the smallest mammal in the entire world. These things can rest on your fingertips and you might not even know because they weigh 0.05 to 0.07 ounces. Ostriches are the world's largest and heaviest living bird. It's why they can't fly, but they are built for running, and they can reach speeds of up to 43 miles per hour, and they can pretty easily coast at 30 miles per hour. The longest English word is 189,819,000 letters long. It's a protein and its nickname is titin, and it would take around 3.5 hours to say the word out loud.
Okay, what the hell is that word? See, because if anybody can find it, put it down below, man. I gotta see that.
5 crazy shark facts you'll never believe. Number 1, they have teeth all over their body. They're actually called dermal denticles, and some sharks even have teeth over their eyes, such as the whale shark. It's what gives them that sandpaper type of texture. Number 2, some sharks can live a seriously long time. The Greenland shark, for instance, can live for over 500 years. Their flesh is also toxic, and they're the slowest shark on record and almost the same size as the great white. Number 3, they can go on some seriously crazy diets. Basically, the great white shark cannot eat for up to 12 months. They can actually survive off of fatty oil stored inside inside their body. 4, they can literally sense electricity. That is one of the shark's amazing superpowers, and they can detect electromagnetic fields in the water using a specialized organ called the ampullae of Lorenzini, which are gel-filled pores all around their nose. 5, some sharks have 360-degree vision, or at least the hammerhead shark does. It's pretty crazy, but these guys have eyes that are so far apart, yet they can still create one whole image, which gives them a 360 viewpoint.
They got the Byakugan, bro.
And you should follow them.
P-Facts I bet you didn't know, part 1. Your lips and anus are connected by the same tube. 90% of serial killers choose their victims by sexual desire. Your organs move freely around your body. Crows used to follow armies to feed on dead bodies. Human sacrifice was a real thing in Aztec Mexico.
What the hell? What do you know?
Easily one of the most shocking creatures in the world. Literally. Meet the electric ray. It's like a regular stingray, except with the powers of Thor. They're electrical hunters with no predators and a shock strong enough to knock out a human. But the crazy part is the way they hunt. What they do is they go and swim above their prey and wrap their fins around, creating this tunnel. And then they just start electrocuting with 200 volts from every single direction. And it's not just one shock. They will electrocute their prey up to 500 times in the matter of seconds. And according to scientists, they can unload a kilowatt of energy in one attack. Thor, come get your friends. But the cherry on top is the fact that they can also use their electricity for electroreception, which means you can't hide from them. They can sense the whereabouts of any creature by detecting their electrical pulses. In other words, they're superheroes. Moral of the story, if you're ever in the ocean, I recommend staying away from swimming tasers. And as always, follow for more facts.
I'm staying away from them, bro. Talk about what a pet it. You're just gonna get shocked. Looks like they're worse than stingrays, bro. 10 times worse. Edit.
These are scary cartoon truths that would terrify you, part 10. Okay, so Hello Kitty was created back in the 1970s by a Chinese woman whose daughter had cancer. The doctors told the mother there was nothing she could do, and her daughter will die. The mother then went to every church and prayed for her daughter, but none of it worked. The mother then became very desperate and turned to devil worshipping and satanic rituals. She then made a pact with the devil himself. But if the devil cured her daughter's cancer, he wanted one thing in return. He wanted her to create a cartoon character to appeal to children all over the world and to trick people into worshipping the devil. And when her daughter recovered from cancer, she kept her promise and created Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty has no mouth because her daughter had mouth cancer. Her pointy ears represent the devil's horns. The word kitty means demon in Chinese, so Hello Kitty actually means hello demon.
What do you guys think about that one, man? I'm telling you, I said this, the media and stuff, be consuming all these, you know, high profile brands. They would be based on some dark stories. Hello,
There's
demon.
an active serial killing group in Austin, Texas. I've been seeing videos all over my For You page talking about the Smile murders, and I'm going to be honest, this is absolutely terrifying. From what I understand, the Smile murders are either a group of people or a singular person leaving this tagline after unaliving someone. This just looks like a normal takeout bag near the lake sitting on a tree. Well, what was found underneath it is absolutely terrifying. It is, yes, an unalived person near the lakeside. Now, the two craziest parts to me is the target is younger men. The second part is that there's been 12 bodies found since 2022 at Lady Bird Lake. And alone this year, there's been already 3. You're probably thinking to yourself, Chris, well, can you go swimming at Lady Bird Lake? Are they drowning? Because that's been the cause of death of most of these people. No, you can't. There's poisonous algae in there. Meaning that if you go swimming in there, you're probably cooked. Now, if you don't believe me, this is the timeline in the area that people are found. On top of that, it seems like people are mostly coming from Rainer Street. From what I've heard and what I understand is the hot spot in Austin, where they have all the bars and it's just like a massive strip. This has been a conspiracy for a long time that there's a group of people unaliving others. But not only in Austin. There's been things in Manchester, there's been things in Boston. But a lot of people are thinking that it's just an organized group, unaliving people and leaving this smiley tagline. Well, and all this is just absolutely terrifying. If you're in the area, stay safe.
This case is exactly why
national news.
Rugs, y'all. This is the case of Carly Busay, and I want to say this happened back in 2013. So she actually disappeared on October 13th, and she was a big fan of scary movies and things of that nature. And when she ended up disappearing, she snuck out to go to her boyfriend's house, and during that time they had taken some type of unknown rug. Now when she had got back home, she had called her stepmom to come pick her up. She was obviously very paranoid, and her mother recorded her, and there is audio recording that I will attach to the end of this video. Now during this recording, the stepmom thought that it would be a good idea to do this. I don't know why. Instead of taking her to the hospital so that the next day she could show her this video and hopefully she won't do these rugs again. Unfortunately, that is not what happened, and according to what I looked into, she ended up, while her parents were asleep, leaving the house and just walking and wandering around the forest and the woods, and she had been spotted that evening, and according to what I looked into, a couple years later, she was spotted again by some bikers, but that wasn't 100% certain if it was her. Now, since then, she has not been spotted, but the crazy thing is her dad was arrested for DV charges, and was charged with those. So according to what I looked into, that is the latest update I have seen on this case, and she has not been seen since then. I just think it's very bizarre that the first thing you're going to do is when you see your child acting paranoid, you're going to record them. I'm going to attach the footage to the end of this.
Melissa, do you want to take a shower? Think it'll make you feel better? I'm eating the devil's lettuce. You're eating lettuce that I just freshly chopped that I bought from the grocery store. I don't know why. Why are you eating the devil's lettuce? Because I'm just thinking all these demonic stuff and I can't help it. You're okay. Do you want to call them? Why are you looking like that? No, you just said you wouldn't. Would you call them?
There's a horrific murder case that's happening right now out of Arizona that's still unsolved. Let's talk about what happened to Mercedes Vega. On April 16th of this year, Mercedes was abducted from the parking garage of her Tempe, Arizona apartment and brutally killed. That night, security footage shows her walking into her apartment's parking garage a little after 9 p.m. She was on her way to meet her friends and have a fun night at Dave & Buster's, but in this footage, she had no idea what was about to happen to her. Sometime before making it to her car, she was attacked and taken by at least 2 people, and the details that follow are still a mystery. A little after 1 a.m. the next morning, the Department of Public Safety was called in to investigate a car that was on fire along the side of Interstate 10 in Tonopah. Upon arriving to the scene, they found Mercedes' burned body in the back seat, and she was deceased. In the last few hours of her life, she was tortured, and according to the medical examiner, she had been shot in the arm, had blunt force trauma to her head, and had traces of bleach in her throat. But all of this did not kill her. She ultimately died from smoke inhalation while being burned alive in that car. Investigators also found gloves and bleach in the front seat and lighter fluid in the back, but there are still a ton of questions that remain in this case, and nothing about this makes any sense. The car that Mercedes was found in was not her car. Her car, which was a 2019 Dodge Charger, was found abandoned near Mill Avenue in Tempe. She was not burned in her own vehicle, and so far, investigators still don't know who the car she was found in belongs to. One of the big questions in this case is how did her car get from her apartment to where it was found? And who drove the other car to Tonopah? Mercedes' parents believe that this was a targeted attack and that death wasn't the ultimate goal, but that Mercedes fought back, which resulted in her death. Her parents mentioned that she danced at a club 2 nights a week, and many question if her death could possibly be connected back to someone she met while at work. It's now been 7 months, and Mercedes' murder is still unsolved. Whoever committed this vicious attack is still out there. Right now, there is a silent witness award of up to $2,000 for information leading to an arrest. But if you'd like to donate to up that reward or to report a tip, please contact the number on the screen. For more information on this case and to show your support, please follow this account that was created for Mercedes that's run by her family. She and her family deserve justice.
They deserve justice, man. Plain and simple. If you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker, seeking the truth. Greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, I do daily uploads every single day, so always make sure to check the channel at least once time every single day, man. Hit that post notification bell also so you always get notified when I upload a video. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.